Ever notice how some guys just seem different after being single for a while? Not desperate, not bitter, just calm and centered. Like they figured something out that the rest of us are still chasing. It's almost like a secret transformation. What if I told you that the longer a man navigates life without a relationship, the closer he accidentally stumbles into one of history's most powerful philosophies? A philosophy that emperors and prisoners alike have used to find freedom in the most suffocating circumstances. I discovered this connection the hard way, and today I'm going to show you exactly how extended singlehood can transform an ordinary a man into an accidental Stoic philosopher, whether he realizes it or not, the unexpected teacher. So there I was, 3 years single after what I'd call a nuclear breakup. You know, the kind where you're picking emotional shrapnel out of your psyche for months. At first, it was the usual story. Dating apps, awkward first meetings over coffee that tasted like disappointment, and the occasional glimmer of hope that would flare up and die faster than a cheap match. You've been there, right? That moment, when you're sitting across from someone perfectly nice, perfectly attractive, and all you can think is, why am I here? What am I even looking for anymore? But then something strange started happening. I wasn't getting more desperate. I was getting calmer, more selective, sure, but not in the way you might expect. It wasn't about having impossibly high standards. It was about seeing clearly for the first time. Here's the truth. When you're single long enough, you start to separate what you actually want from what you've been programmed to want. The societal pressure, the Hollywood rom-com expectations, the timeline that everyone's supposed to follow, it all starts to look like what the ancient Stoics would call externals. Things outside your control that you've mistakenly attached your happiness to. This is where it gets interesting, because without realizing it, I was walking the same path as Marcus Aurelius, who wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But here's the twist, what I didn't expect to learn next, the indifferent paradox. You know what's genuinely messed up? The moment you stop desperately needing a relationship, that's when you become most capable of having a good one. The Stoics had this concept they called preferred indifference. These are things that are nice to have, but shouldn't determine your happiness or self-worth, good health, wealth, and yes, even relationships. After about year 4 of being single, I noticed something shift in me. When friends would ask, "Still single? How are you dealing with that?" My honest answer became, "Actually, I'm good." Not in that fake "I'm fine" way we all recognize, but genuinely good. I had achieved what the Stoics called apatheia, not apathy but freedom from being dominated by desires and fears. Let me break it down for you. Remember when meeting someone new felt like an audition? Like every word, every gesture was being judged? That pressure? It vanishes. Conversations become genuine explorations, not performances. Remember how you used to feel like your worth was somehow tied to whether someone chose you? That dissolves too. Your value is intrinsic, not assigned by another person's interest. I still remember the exact moment this hit me. I was on a date with someone objectively amazing, successful, beautiful, intelligent, the kind of person who years earlier would have had me strategizing how to win them over. But instead, I found myself thinking, she's great, and if this doesn't work out, my life remains excellent. That's not indifference, that's freedom, and it changes everything. But here's where it gets tricky. This freedom comes with an unexpected cost, the fortress and the bridge. The longer a man stays single, the more he builds what I call a Stoic fortress, a self-contained world where he needs very little from the outside to be content. His daily routine is perfected, personal finances managed, emotional regulation mastered, living space exactly how he wants it. The ancient Stoic Epictetus was onto something when he said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take The rest as it happens. This fortress is incredible for personal development, but it creates a new challenge, building bridges to let others in. I'll never forget my friend Michael. He was 42, single for almost a decade, and the man had his life dialed in perfectly. Beautiful apartment, thriving career, rich friendships, and the ability to travel whenever he wanted. He embodied what the Stoics called eudaimonia, flourishing through virtue and wisdom. But then he met Sarah. Everything was going great until she started suggesting small changes to his sacred routine, moving their date night to accommodate her work schedule, suggesting a different approach to handling finances, wanting more spontaneity in their weekends. What happened? The fortress walls went up. The very self-sufficiency that made him such a complete person became the barrier to true partnership. As Seneca wrote, "He who clings to a rock cannot move forward." The Stoic single man must learn that sometimes the greatest strength isn't in resistance, but in integration. The balance between maintaining your hard-won self-sufficiency and creating space for authentic connection. That's the advanced class in accidental Stoicism. Now, let's talk about something even more profound, the mortality perspective. There's an exercise Stoics practiced called memento mori, remember you will die. Sounds dark, I know, but stay with me because this changes everything about how a long-term single man approaches relationships. After 5 years on my own, I had this jarring realization. I was visiting my grandfather in hospice care, and as I sat beside him holding his hand, I realized he wasn't thinking about his career achievements or possessions. He was remembering connections, moments of love, friendship, and meaningful bonds. That's when it hit me. The Stoic perspective on relationships isn't about need or dependence, it's about conscious choice. It's about saying, I know I can be complete alone, and yet I choose connection, not from lack, but from abundance. This mortality perspective strips away the trivial concerns that plague early dating. What will my friends think of her? Is she impressive enough on paper? Do we look good together in photos? Instead, it focuses you on what matters. Does this person help me become my best self? Do we face life's challenges as worthy allies? Can we create meaning together? I started asking different questions on dates, not the usual resume exchange, but questions like, what gives your life meaning? And what's something you've changed your mind about recently? These are questions that reveal character, values, and wisdom, what the Stoics would call the only true goods. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. The longer a man stays single while developing his inner world, the clearer his thoughts become about what partnership truly means. Here's the ultimate irony, and the secret I promised to share with you at the beginning. The longer a man practices this accidental stoicism of singlehood, the more prepared he becomes for a relationship of extraordinary depth. Not just any relationship, but one that's actually worth having. Not the kind based on neediness or completing each other or escaping loneliness, but something rarer, a partnership of two whole people who choose each other daily with eyes wide open. I call it the paradoxical preparation. By mastering the art of not needing a relationship, you become capable of having one that's actually worth having. When you've learned to manage your emotions rather than be ruled by them, when you've distinguished between what you can and cannot control, when you've built a life of meaning on your own terms, you enter relationships differently. You bring clarity instead of confusion, purpose instead of need, stability instead of chaos. Anthropologist Margaret Mead once said something fascinating about this. When asked about the earliest sign of civilization, she didn't point to tools or weapons. She pointed to a healed femur, a thigh bone that had broken and mended. In the animal kingdom, if you break your leg, you die. You can't run from danger, hunt for food, or reach water. But a healed femur showed that someone had cared for the injured person until they recovered. That's what evolved relationships look like. Two people who don't need each other to survive, but choose to help each other thrive. The accidental. Stoic doesn't enter relationships to escape suffering, but to create meaning alongside another sovereign individual. As Epictetus said, he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Are you accidentally practicing Stoicism in your single life, or have you found other philosophies that guide you? Subscribe for more explorations of modern manhood through ancient wisdom. And remember, as the Stoics would say, the obstacle is the path. If a woman rejects you, simply say, "No worries, your loss. All right, have a great day," and walk away without a second thought. The key is to never let rejection lower your energy. A man who can take rejection with ease is a man who attracts women effortlessly. The real trick is to stop fearing rejection. When you stop fearing it, women will sense your confidence and start chasing you instead. Rejection isn't painful when you don't attach your self-worth to approval. Women obsess over men who are hard to read. Do you want to keep a woman on her toes? Be a man she can't fully read. Women are weak for men who keep them guessing. If a woman knows exactly how you feel all the time, she stops wondering. And when she stops wondering, she stops chasing. Signs of a man who is too easy to read. He always texts back immediately. He's overly expressive about his feelings too soon, and he constantly seeks validation or reassurance. On the other hand, a high-value man creates attraction by not being an open book. He keeps her engaged by being selective in what he shares, responding at his own pace, and maintaining an air of calm unpredictability. Curiosity fuels desire. If she always knows what's next, the chase is over. The man who can excite a woman's imagination is the man she can't stop thinking about. A man who controls his desires controls everything. The ultimate weakness women have? They can't resist a man who is in control of himself. Most men are controlled by their desires. They chase women, seek validation, and let lust dictate their actions. But the men who hold the power are the ones who control their desires. Instead of being ruled by them, they choose wisely. They aren't desperate for intimacy. They maintain standards and self-discipline. They don't let pleasure dictate their purpose. The moment you stop chasing women is the moment they start chasing you. A man who can walk away, say no, and put his mission before his urges is a man women will always crave. Attraction isn't about tricks. It's about understanding psychology and mastering yourself. Women are drawn to men who embody strength, purpose, and self-respect. If you cultivate these qualities, women won't just want you, they'll need you. If you found value in this video, hit that subscribe button and join the Stoic Guide community for more wisdom on mastering life and attraction. Until next time, stay strong, stay grounded, and remember, never chase.